For the past 2 years, I've been lucky to work every day with someone who's become a very good friend as well as a colleague. Suzanne Skidmore was the Executive Vice President at the BCGEU for 5 years before being elected BC Fed Secretary Treasurer in 2018 and again in 2020. She's been an active New Democrat both provincially and federally since forever. And she was elected as our president at our last convention in 2022. Suzanne has brought our organization through 2 remarkable years, a shifting political landscape, challenging economic times, and a growing recognition in our movement of what is possible and a growing determination to achieve it. So delegates, please join me in welcoming my friend and our president, Suzanne Skidmore.
Woo! Thank you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. It is so great to be up here and see you all here. We were in here bright and early this morning and just kind of visioning what it was going to be like seeing you all here in your seats, and it's just absolutely gorgeous from up here with hundreds and hundreds of people who are deeply committed to a common fight, common values, and a common vision. All of us are here because we believe in something bigger than any one of us. We believe that working people are stronger together than we are apart. We believe that workers deserve a better deal, a fairer deal, and we believe that families in British Columbia deserve strong and thriving communities, no matter where you live, a promising future, great jobs, and a sustainable, prosperous economy. We believe there are fundamental wrongs that must be righted. We believe that concentrated power must be shared with all. And we believe in solidarity in the face of injustice and inequity. And nothing is more satisfying than acting on those beliefs and feeling the tires bite into the gravel when we get traction on something. But, no lie, there are some days in the labor movement, as you know, when the fight is not easy. There are some days where you push and nothing seems to be happening. And you wonder, are you really making a difference? I want you to hear from a few people who think that we are. So we can cue the video, please.
It's a fight that has been going on for a really long time.
People died just to be part of a union.
Because of the union, we feel very strong.
Being in a union is a safe space for a lot of people.
You are validated for who you are.
There's a larger movement behind it.
Inclusion in the union has a multitude of benefits.
Job stability.
A reasonable, livable wage.
Paid sick days.
Vacation.
To know that I have a right to be safe at work.
The employer can't take advantage of you.
And I can retire with dignity and income security.
We get to make a real difference.
Pushing the agenda on equality and equity.
To lift up workers who can't be heard, who don't have a voice, who aren't seen.
We are fighting the good fight against corporate greed.
We're all stronger together.
That right there, friends, is the difference that we make every day. And we should be proud about that difference. And we need to tell our story every single day. Because workers need to know that unions are making a difference everywhere for everyone. And it isn't like it's hard to see. You see it on your shop floors where workers have more power to stop unfair treatment, unsafe conditions, and abusive bosses. You see the union difference in better pay, and we know that that money, that gets spent right in your local communities, the places where we live. It is not sent to pay out big giant bonuses and dividends in some faraway, tax fair haven, bank account that head office somewhere in another place gets to hide it away and never pay any taxes on it. We spend our money right in the communities where we live. We spend them in local businesses. We support our communities. That's the union difference. And you see the union difference in families. They don't have to struggle as hard to get ahead, that can save and plan for a future. And you see the union difference in secure retirements. You see that difference in the better skills, better services, and better products. And you see the union difference in a better, fairer province to live in. Because the evidence says so clear. When it comes to lifting people out of poverty, when it comes to renewing the middle class and building a better future for your family, there is no social program, there's no tax policy, and there's no economic wizardry more effective than being in a union, right? And of course, that drives some employers up the wall. And I kind of like that. It gives me a little joy because they want a workforce that is desperate for the next gig. They want a workforce that is willing to accept low wages, lousy, unsafe conditions, and above all else, they want a workforce that is divided. Because a workforce that, exactly, shame, thank you. Because that's probably on your bingo card also. Thank you for starting that off, it was good. Because we know that the bosses want a workforce that's divided, because a workforce that is divided doesn't see the incredible power that working people have. And here's the thing, without us, nothing happens. The economy does not exist without us. Services do not happen without us. And communities don't work without us. And every time there's a strike or a lockout and employers and big business lobbyists start howling for us to be legislated or mediated back to work, cue the shame. Where's Rob Ashton? Thank you. We know there are people this is happening to right now. Sorry, Rob, put you on the spot there, Longshore. I know what you're feeling this hard right now. And so, you know, we know that. And that's why. That's why our response to them is, if what we do is so important, then you better act like it at the bargaining table. And when the importance of our labor meets the strength of our solidarity, we are unstoppable. We see it again and again. When we stand together, when we stand united and speak with one clear voice, who wins? That's right. Union workers win. When we show up for each other in strikes and in lockouts, helping each other stay strong, who wins? We win, that's right. Let's do that one more time. Who wins? We win. Yes, that's so much better. Workers win. You saw it a year ago in September when we organized against fear and hate in this province and all across the country. We had to take on, we had just days really, to take on a well-orchestrated campaign of hate and anti-trans disinformation that had been organizing for months, and we outnumbered them overwhelmingly. You saw the power of our solidarity in the legislature, you saw it in elections, and when we work together to elect governments that listen to working people, NDP governments, that is, then we work just as hard to make sure that those governments hear what working people need. That's how we get things done. And we know we don't always get what we want, but we do have some victories, and it's important to celebrate our victories, so I'm going to tell you about a few of them. The first one, paid sick leave. Right? We all know that when workers are given a choice between paying their bills, staying home, and taking care of their health, they're going to pay their bills. They're going to feed their kids. They're going to make sure that that is a priority. And because of you and the work that you did, and because we had a worker-friendly government, people don't have to make that choice anymore. And that's a choice that no one should have to make. We won single-step certification, what we like to call CardCheck, so that when working people don't have to ask twice, if they want to join a union, they can join a union by signing that card. We won historic investments in expanding childcare and making it affordable for families. We won victories like the return of trade certification. We have the highest provincial minimum wage in Canada that is now indexed to inflation. We have long-awaited improvements in workers' compensation, and of course, more work to do there. And you just had Barb up here from the Hospital Employees Union, bringing hospital workers back into the public sector where they belong. We have a historic action plan on reconciliation. We have anti-racism legislation. We have a gender-based violence action plan in this province. We saw the return of the BC Human Rights Commission and real action to tackle and combat hate, and so much more. This is what we won because we stood together. We stood strong when we elected an NDP government twice under our friend John Horgan, and now with Premier David Eby. I'll have more to say about John tomorrow, but I do know that he is in all of our hearts and on our minds this week. John was an incredible ally to working people, and he was a friend to all of us here. We miss him and we love him, and I'm so deeply grateful that we had his leadership in this province. Just as I'm delighted that we have our friend David Eby, Premier of the province, to work. We've worked with him in the last 2 years, and I can tell you, having been around for a long time, having a worker-friendly government that invites us into the room and to be part of the conversation is a blessing, and David Eby is that guy. And we're going to have to work with him for the next 4 years. I'm excited about that. And in an election this close, you made the difference. And it was a close difference, let me tell you. It was because workers like you showed up every day to knock on doors, make phone calls, talk to your neighbors, talk to your co-workers. We had texting parties. We did all of those things. It's because of workers like you. You are the reason that we have a pro-worker, pro-union government, and a pro-worker, pro-union premier. We have a premier who is not afraid to say the words union, and I'm proud of that. And that is thanks to every single Labour volunteer who knocked on doors, made calls, and showed up to make sure that the BC Federation of Labour Workers' Votes campaign was a huge success. I saw some toques out there earlier today, so thank you folks for wearing those. That was a treat you got for knocking on doors with us. Together, we kept BC from the same awful mistake last October that our neighbors to the south just made on November 5th. And I can tell you, I was knocking on doors down there and it was tough. But I have to tell you about here, thinking of just how close things were, how easily they could have gone the other way. It literally keeps me up at night. All it would have taken was a handful of votes and a few ridings, a handful of NDP voters that we couldn't reach or get to the polls, and Premier John Rustad. Whew. Yes, thank you. I feel your sentiment. That he would have had free rein to control the province and reshape it in whatever way he wanted. He would have been free to gut the services and raise fees for families. He would have been free to slash taxes for the wealthy and the corporate elite. And he would have been free to make it harder to join a union. Free to scrap paid sick leave. And yeah, exactly. Thank you. Free to scrap paid sick leave. He promised he was going to do that right away. Free to indulge his anti-science, anti-worker, anti-climate, and anti-reconciliation agenda, and free to name any one of his fellow conspiracy theorists to cabinet. And no, we have not forgotten the extreme, bizarre, and even hateful things some of those candidates stand for. To think they got so close to power, that we came so close to losing everything working people fought so hard to win. That should be a wake-up call for all of us. Mayor Hurley was talking about earlier this morning. But we need to understand the message that voters were sending, because every one of us who was on the doorstep, we heard it loud and clear. The message wasn't to be more timid and cautious in helping working people and working families across the province. It was actually a call to be bolder. It wasn't to slow down the progress people see in their lives. It was to do more and to act with greater urgency. Now, After a close brush like this one, there are always voices saying, we just have to do a better job telling our story. And no question, we do. But we also have to make sure that there is a better story to tell. We need to win more victories for working people, the kind of victories that tangibly, visibly improve people's lives every day. The kind that makes it easier to make ends meet and to see a brighter future for themselves and their families. The kind that makes communities stronger, safer, and healthier. That let people see fairness and equity in their lives everywhere, from their workplace to their schools and hospitals to the corridors of power. So, we're going to keep pushing, friends. There is so much more to do, and we have to keep moving forward. With changes in the labor code, there are so many sectors of workers right now where organizing is severely an uphill battle, and for some it's impossible. We need to find ways like sectoral bargaining so that workers can exercise that fundamental charter right that they have to join a union. We're pressing for stronger employment standards that let us shift from preventing and actively investigating employer abuses instead of just waiting until they happen. We're pushing to close the gap between the minimum wage and the living wage so that every job is a living wage job. We're pushing for better health care, better services, better schools, and community services for British Columbians. We're pushing to make sure that injured workers are treated fairly and decently, and that goes for psychological injuries every bit as much as physical ones. We're pushing for greater public transit in every part of British Columbia. We're pushing for all of this and so much more. We're pushing for a better deal for working people, a better future for working people, a future that is truly worth fighting for. And it will be a fight. Listen, there are powerful forces who are going to try and push us the other way, and they're going to push hard. We know this because they always do. They just came so close to getting what they wanted, and they're not happy. They're especially not happy with us. So we're going to be up against power, and we'll be up against money, and we'll be up against the corporate lobbyists and the pundits who always cheer for the rich. We don't have that on our side. What we do have are people, our people, union people, working people, everywhere in this province. I was on the Longshore picket line just last month, and one of the members, we were having a great conversation, and he said to me, yeah, they can spend a ton of money trying to break us. They can throw all the money at the world, but you know what? Solidarity is free, right? And he was right. And that stuck with me every single day. And what we have on our side is solidarity. And it's more than a match for wealth and power. We've shown what solidarity can do in the last election. We've shown what it can do in the last 7 years. And we're going to show what happens when we double down on solidarity, whether we're up against John Rustad or Pierre Poilievre or any of these knockoff Timu Trumps or Maple Megas. We are going to stand strong, stand together, and we're going to win. So let's get into this week with that determination in our hearts. Let's make this convention about building a future that is worth fighting for and building our ability to fight like we've never fought before. My friends, welcome to the 61st Convention of the British Columbia Federation of Labor. Thank you. Thank you.